The new M3 MacBook Pro actually has a bunch of major differences between the previous baseline M2 model. And so in this video, we're going to go over what's new and figure out if it's worth picking up the new M3 14-inch MacBook Pro or worth upgrading from the M2 13-inch MacBook Pro. Now, if you don't have either one of these machines yet, technically Apple discontinued the 13-inch, but there are still plenty of retailers out there that are selling this model, and perhaps for even cheaper, but just wanted to point that out, that you will not probably be able to get it directly from Apple's website unless it's like a refurbished thing. Anyways, let's get to the differences because there are lots of them. And obviously in the name, we have two different chips. And so this one we can get out of the way kind of quickly. But I can't definitively say that the M3 is like that much better than the M2 in terms of performance and all of that. Most likely you won't notice any major changes in day-to-day tasks, but for those wondering, according to Apple, the M3 chip does offer dynamic caching, mesh shading, and hardware-accelerated ray tracing, mostly a lot of improvements for the GPU. And so this is good for those who want to do some gaming on these new machines. CPU and GPU performance bumps are expected to be about 20% better on M3 than the M2. The M3 chip is run on a 3nm process, meaning that these machines are going to be the first PCs to run off of that compared to the 5nm that we have on the M2. But ultimately, the rest of the specs that you're looking at are going to be kind of the same. It's an 8-core CPU, 10-core GPU for the base, 8 GB of RAM to start off with, and both can be configured up to 24 GB. Now, the rest of the changes are all visually noticeable, and this is where a lot of this is important because the MacBook Pro got a redesign from that 13-inch that we have here with the Touch Bar to this new design. It's a little bit more squared off. It's a little boxier in my opinion, a little thicker. I like this one. I think it's a lot better. Obviously, there's a slight size difference from the display here. You now have a 14.2-inch Liquid Retina XDR display compared to a 13.3-inch standard Retina display. The display quality is obviously much improved here, as it's now a mini LED panel with ProMotion. So now you're getting that 120 Hz refresh rate at times, and going from an old display to this new one, there's huge noticeable improvements. There's also a lot less bezel around the display, but you get the notch at the top on the 14-inch M3, which doesn't really do anything aside from house the front-facing camera. And speaking of that camera, it's now bumped up to a much better 1080p camera compared to the 720p on the M2 13-inch MacBook Pro. Video calls will not only look better, but sound better on your end. So you have that new 6-speaker sound system. It just sounds so good. Audio coming from these laptops, the new ones with this design, sound so much better than the old ones. The keyboard and trackpad do have a few differences here, but the main thing to consider is that you're no longer getting the touch bar. It's replaced with standard function keys. Some people may like that, some people won't. If you're someone who wants the touch bar, well, it's been discontinued entirely, so you're going to have to get this model, and this is going to be the last model that you're going to get. So the latest chip that you'll have is that M2, and so makes the decision easier for you. But if you don't care, you go back to the standard function keys, and I think it's better all around. Another huge improvement is more ports. You still get 4 USB-C ports, but you also get the return of the MagSafe port for charging, which also supports fast charging. That makes all 4 of your USB-C ports free for other accessories, and it doesn't need to be used for charging if you don't want it to be. There are also other useful ports like an HDMI port and an SD card reader, so a lot more flexibility there when it comes to port options. On the inside, Apple says the new 14-inch MacBook Pro is rated to last 22 hours of battery, which is up from 20 on the old version, and there's new Wi-Fi 6E compared to Wi-Fi 6, and support for Bluetooth 5.3, so you're kind of future-proofing yourself in all areas here for those connectivity options. Both models come in that standard space gray and silver that we've known for quite some time. Unfortunately, the new space black color that Apple introduced only comes with the M3 Pro and M3 Max version. So I don't know, for some strange reason, it's just limited to those chips. And so you have the same color options. There's nothing different there. So yeah. The biggest difference that leans in favor of the M2 13-inch model is that it does start at $1299 compared to $1599 for this current new model. But in my opinion, it's well worth the extra $300 to upgrade for all of those added benefits. The better design, the better display, the better battery, the better connectivity options, the better ports. All of that is worth $300 in my opinion. And if you agree, then yeah, definitely pick up that 14-inch M3 model. And of course, you're getting more performance and better performance with the latest chipset. And if you're a gamer, it's going to be huge for you. Otherwise, if you're just looking to save some money and you're like, hey, I found that this is on sale even more, so Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to be happy with that, but it is an older discontinued model now. So would love to hear from you in the comments down below. What are you planning to pick up, if at all? What do you think about these two machines? Go ahead and let me know down in those comments. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.